Welcome to Alpha Wolf Trading. Did you know that there's over 12,000 stocks or companies that trade on the OTC? Between the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange, you have over 7,000 companies. But us as retail investors, we wouldn't know that unless we were researching. Because why? Wall Street focuses on the elite, the big companies. And where the retail investor has their advantage is in small and micro-cap stocks. Why? Because you have the opportunity to speak directly with leadership. That is what this is all about here at Alpha Wolf Trading. We're trying to find the hidden gems, and we interview the executive teams of companies that we think meet the parameters to be those hidden gems. I also want to make sure you understand that this is not a paid-for promotion. I collect no compensation for the interviews I do here. These companies that I interview have been identified as potential opportunities for me and the members of Alpha Wolf Trading to receive a higher than average return on our investment. These companies I have identified either because of a technical setup on a chart, a fundamental change within the organization, new management team, new products, all kinds of different things that actually lead me here. But what do I think is the most important? Leadership. And that is why I do these interviews. I want to understand what drives the person that is leading the charge. I want to feel their passion. I want to understand their vision and the strategy that they're going to use to achieve success. That is what these interviews are for. I want to understand the share structure and the cap table, the size of the TAM, the total addressable market. This is the opportunity to learn all of those things. So sit back and enjoy. And if you learn anything from today's interview, do us a favor. Subscribe to the Alpha Wolf Trading YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with an exclusive CEO interview that I've been trying to get for, I don't know, probably 2.5, 3 years. And we've now finally gotten it done. And it was primarily because this gentleman has just been too damn busy building his company. And Aurora Spine, ticker symbol ASAPF, and Trent Northcutt is the CEO and founder. Trent, thanks for coming in to tell your story.
Thank you, Tim. It's a real pleasure to be here today. We're super grateful to have this opportunity to share the Aurora story with you and all the people who listen to you. We're big fans, and again, thanks for having us.
You bet. So listen, there's a lot to fit into this interview. I don't want to make it too long, but it's an exciting story. Trent, just give us a little background on Aurora Spine and how you wound up here. What made you start the company? And then we can start getting into all the revolutionary products that you guys are creating for the industry.
Yeah, happy to share the background. I started out in the spine business. Before I got into spine, I was actually into sports medicine, hardware and sports medicine products that led to like shoulder repair or ACL repairs. And then I stumbled into this opportunity with spine, and I found that spine was very, very unique. And so I got involved early on in a startup company out of Northern California called Oratech. And Oratech was ultimately purchased by Smith & Nephew. And it was really unique in the cadaver labs and the courses and the physicians that we met. I found that spine was truly unique, and it was evolving. It was constantly trying to improve itself. And not that sports medicine wasn't, but I certainly liked the challenge that was in front of us, and that the second reason in the world why people miss time at work is spine injuries or spine pain or back pain. You know, being the common cold or the flu is number one, that back pain was that high up on the chart for people to miss their time at work, probably miss time with their loved ones. So if we could come up with something new and something that was innovative, I was definitely in on that. So I went from the Oratech acquisition, it got sold. got into sales and distribution more regularly, where we actually picked up different lines. So I got to really explore and hear the stories from other CEOs and stories from other sales leadership and business leadership. And I got to know a little bit of the investment community, Piper Jaffray, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Canaccord, First Albany, and many, many others. And got to listen to them tell me why companies succeed and fail, in their opinion. From there, I got involved early with a company called AlphaTech Manufacturing that had an office in the desert here in California and also a new office in Carlsbad, California. I met with the old owner. His name was Roy Ishimi. He wanted to change the whole company. He'd been around for many, many years, like 15 years when I walked in the door. The first thing I did was look at a source of maybe raising capital for the company and changing the name. And one of the things that happened right away was during our search for trying to raise revenue or raise capital for the company that needed it, we ended up having a success in sales revenues and grew the company up to about $17.6 million. Subsequently, we ended up selling that company to Health Point Financial for $76 million. So it was a real big win for us, like right away. And I learned from that experience because, one, we had that transaction that happened, got to see the moving parts on how that was going to take place. And the first thing I thought was going to happen is that I'd get shooed out the door. Well, to my surprise and to my delight, they said, get ready, we're going to brace for an IPO. So I stayed on the team and I helped, was one of the key leaders in the IPO, and we took AlphaTech public on June 12, 2006. And I stayed all the way through 2008. And then I got recruited to go to a startup spine company out of Colorado called Flanks. And that company, we were able to raise 25 million real quick with that company, get them balanced out. They had a lot of surgeon involvement in the company. So we needed to balance out not only the balance sheet, but we needed to balance out the ownership stake in the company. So that 25 million really went a long way. And then ultimately that company was acquired for 143 million from Biomet. So we had a nice uptick on that. I worked in another spine company. I didn't have a lot of international experience. So I took the opportunity I helped fund it, but I also helped work with a company called Spine Art based out of Geneva, Switzerland. And Geneva, Switzerland was a unique market for me, right? To learn what the international markets look like. We were able to open up Spine Art in North America, and of all the places in the world they wanted to open up a spine business, they wanted me to move to New York City, which I thought was a little bit bizarre, but it was a journey in itself. So I relocated myself to New York, had 3 great years there. The one thing that was in the back of my mind was an early concept that I had come up with, and I'd shared it with some friends of mine, was the time that I put 2 popsicle sticks together and zip tied them together in a spine model. And I thought that we could make an implant without screws and do spinal procedures without screws. And that's the leading procedure in spinal procedures, is screw-based technology. So I was able to, tip my hat out, and I remained friends with the company. And I thought, I need to start my own spine company. And the name Aurora really resonated with me because Aurora is the goddess of a new day, a brand new day in spine, something that was going to be unique to the market. And I was going to start the company without screws. And that's exactly what we did. So myself, my co-founder, Laszlo Gramzegi, he's our chief technology officer. We worked on the different concepts. We were able to go out and raise some capital. And one of our big investors is, our brothers and sisters of Canada. They actually came in pretty strong. 3 of our board members are Canadian. We have a fantastic board at Aurora, and we took that early investment from our group up in Canada. And one of the stipulations was take it public on the Toronto Exchange. So we did that right away. We took the company public out before we had an FDA approval, before we had any sales. So we did an early end of the year IPO in 2013, but really didn't get started until 2014. Got our first FDA approval in the beginning of the year, and we got started. And that's where the company really got its basis, was all the way into 2024. And that's really where the company started. So we're celebrating our 10 years right now. And as you know, Tim, we often joke about it's the 10-year overnight success story.
And yeah, it's funny that you say that, but I mean, there is a lot of positive things happening that the street does not recognize, and you have not been rewarded for in the last 2 years. I mean, 2 years, I think you've had some pretty significant things happen, and it is not reflected in the stock. And part of that is the market itself, right? We've got a sector, which is the small micro cap space, that has just been getting pounded for 29 months, essentially, right?
That's right. That's right.
So you've navigated through a pandemic. You've navigated through historic supply chain issues. You've navigated through the fastest interest rate hike cycle in history. These are some pretty challenging business environments, right?
That's right.
Through that, you've had some pretty major successes. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree, and I appreciate you recognizing that. I know you always have, so thank you for that. You know, we're super fortunate. We've had a board that has stood by us from day one. We've had investors who stood from us and stood by us the whole time, and we hit some milestones that were going to be big leaps. Like, we knew that we had a challenge in front of us, but you're right. We got not only did we get technology approved during a pandemic, but we got patents issued. I think game-changing patents, game-changing 510(k) approvals, arguments with the FDA to get products across the finish line, like really healthy discussions with the FDA, really healthy build outs on IP and IP development within the company. So yeah, thank you for recognizing that. And the two major ones was we started working on the SI joint market, and we started working on a platform technology that we call DEXA. And with your permission, I'll go forward and start to talk a little bit more about DEXA. So we started early on with the main product, as I mentioned, the zip technology. The screwless procedure was where we really got started. What was exciting about this was that, as I said earlier, this is a product that is 100% screwless. It allows the implant to be placed right into the spine. There's very minimal tissue damage, very minimal morbidity to the patient. It's an in and out procedure. Patient walks in, walks out the same day. And this is a zip device. And this is how we founded the whole company from day one. And with this technology, we were able to get some early wins with the product. But as we continue to hone the technology and get it in front of more customers, this procedure became a real staple for us and is now stronger than ever from when we first started. It's because we worked into 3 different markets. We worked with the ortho, the neuro, and now the new interventional market. And it's quite simple. It allows the patient to have a small incision made on their back, that we're able to measure the space between their interspinous bumps right here, which, their low back right here. And then the implant is then filled with a biologic, which is meant to help promote fusion. This biologic is it's called DBM, demineralized bone matrix. It allows the bone to go into this implant. The implant has a left side and a right side. The implant comes together, give it a little click, allows the physician to be able to grab onto the implant, place it firmly and right into that patient's back. They grip it, they zip it, they're done, right? It allows this to go right on in the spine and get a nice fixation, no screws put in their back. They walk in, they walk out, and they're able to get that pain eliminated from their back. Now, we've put our money where our mouth is on this. During the pandemic and during supply chain headwinds, we were able to also enter into a multi-center study, which we've had some really great success with. This is showing positive outcomes. We blended it with ortho, neuro, and pain doctors. It's the first study of its kind where it actually has interventional doctors involved in this procedure. And it couldn't have gone any better, and it continues to be grow. So we are really working to continue to get the word out with the patients, get the word out with our distribution network, get the word out to the physicians that are looking to see how this training is going to fit into their practice and how it's going to help their patients in their area, their market of the world. And each market's different, right? You've got the Northwest, you've got the Southwest, you got the Northeast, the Southeast, and everything in the middle, right? You got all these different areas. You got field workers, you got businessmen and women, you've got truck drivers, you got everything that has to get them back up on their feet. And this has been a nice approach, a minimally invasive approach to spine surgery that can be done simply and safely in a surgery center or at a hospital near them. So many patients have different pathologies, degenerative disc disease. They have a bulging disc. They have leg drop. They've got all these indications that they just don't know how to treat this. And this offers them a way of getting back out without having to have the big procedure, the big surgery. And I'm trying to show you a couple different implants here. There you go. So you have the L5S1, which is the ZIP 51, the ZIP LP, which stands for low profile. We're talking about an implant, Tim, that's only this big. It's very small. I know you've had a chance to see it. It seats nicely right between the low part of the bony structure that comes down your back. The product is approved from your top thoracic area, which is T1, all the way down to S1, which is your SI joint. So right above your SI joint, your sacrum joint. So you have an ability to have an implant put into you where the patient can not have a big scar, not have a big long surgery. These procedures all take about an hour or less. So really, really great results with this technology. And I wanted everyone to see this is how we got started. Any questions?
No, it's just, it's funny because I can't remember where I read it, but chronic back pain is like I think the number one thing that takes people out. And opioid addiction is a big issue with back pain, right?
That's right. That's right. And one of the things that we talk about internally here is, these patients often have some type of pain, some type of pathology that's harming them, or the pain is just too great, and they go through a series of things such as physical therapy, improved diet, more exercise, all the things they need to do, and then the ultimate for them is they get set down the road and get lumbar fusion put in. They get screws put in because that's it. Once you have that, there's no place to go after that other than more revision surgery. So what we do here is we make this approach very minimal, where you can just get in there, take out the ligament, make a small incision in the skin, be able to get the implant, again, rested right here. And now they have this as an option to them that they've never had before. They never had this option before. And many of the older technologies were not meant to be so robust, not meant to be a fusion device. They were meant to be a blocker. They weren't meant to be a fusion. Screws are fusion.
Right.
The zip device is also fusion. And you're right. After this patient has done all the pre-workup before the ultimate surgery, sometimes and oftentimes, if after they've had pedicle screws put in them, the pain maintains, they're right back in that pain doctor's office getting more injections, getting more steroids, and even worse, more opioids.
Right. Unbelievable.
So this is another demonstration of the technology. This incision is only about that big, right? When we're talking about an implant, it's only about that big. So these incisions are very, very small. In fact, you could practically put a Band-Aid on these patients, and they could, feel great and be active to their feet and get back to regular activity in a very short period of time.
It's fantastic. So one thing I do want to highlight here, I wish everybody, and I told you this before we were going to do our interview, I wish everybody had as dynamic of a presentation as you do. I think
Thank you.
It is just, it's a wow. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about spinal procedures and surgeries, but I sure as hell understand that whole process that you just showed me, right? Because of graphics and everything that you do. So, I mean, kudos to you on that.
Well, we do this. So the whole team, and I take it all the way from our leadership team all the way down. They're very, very active in showing the graphics, showing the animations, showing the surgical technique guide. We try to spell it out because spine is hard. Surgery is hard. It's not a simple thing, and we don't take lightly to it. Our tagline is "Simplify the complex" because it's very complex. And we're trying to not dull it down. We're just trying to make it easier and easier and easier. Help the doctor, right? Help the doctor, help the patients. And that's our goal. We're trying to make our implants so unique and so slick that, all the doctors that use this technology can have good success and strong outcomes.
Which just means better quality of life for all of the patients.
That's right. Exactly right. So I'm going to show you this. This is kind of like a quick snapshot. It shows, what Aurora's been working on. So I mentioned that the DEXA technology, and then I started talking about the ZIP. And here's kind of a quick overview of where the technologies go. And I'm going to show all these. So this is our first patented product. Took us 5 years to develop. We have very strong patents on this. We've got another 18 years left on this patent, so we're very happy about it. This goes right in line with our Apollo. This is for cervical fusion. A lot of patients have cervical pain, has very high success rate. We think that we've taken the success rate up a notch, and that's why DEXA technology is a platform that we're going to talk about more during this presentation. Here's another image of the zip, kind of showing it in the human body. And then here's the zip 51, which is low on the back, as low as you can go down on your spine, so L5S1. And then this is one of our newest 510K approvals. This is the DEXA-L. It's made of the same material as the cervical device, but this is meant to go into your lumbar spine for fixation, made specifically for spine surgeons. And then these are the two categories that we're really excited about. This is the SI joint market. The SI joint market is a growing market. It's a $2.5 billion opportunity. This is our allograft system that goes in. It's a piece of cadaver bone that's been machined precisely made for the SI joint. And this is our patented technology. It's called the SILO-TFX, which stands for transfixing. This allows you to put the same procedure in and then two implants to go down and block out the connection between the SI joint, the ilium, and the sacrum, getting that transfixing fixation of the joint. And this was also a 5-year journey. Had the patent issued early on it, but then had the 510K climb that we needed to make. It was a big step for us in the company. And a couple things happened last year. Was during the development of we have our SILO system, and then of course our SI joint TFX system. What was key about the SILO system is that it was a very small, no bigger than a penny, a very small implant, easy to insert, easy for the doctor to use this as an outpatient product. The problem that happened, that there was a lot of coding and reimbursement on the medical side. So there was some inconsistencies in the wording, inconsistencies in the thoughts of the billing and the coding. That all got sorted out. You saw some of our numbers last year, sales numbers change. That was because of not just us, everybody in the space. There was a big change in the headwind on that. And while we were working through this issue, we were very focused, laser focused behind the scenes. And I know you were on a couple of the calls. You knew that we were dead set on getting out the TFX system. The TFX system for us was going to be a real win. And here's a great X-ray I'd love to share with you. I know you haven't seen this, so you'll get a kick out of it. Here is the zip device. This is the L5S1 zip 51. And then down here is two SI joint TFX implants. So I know the X-ray is a little bit large in this image, but you can see how this implant was fitted into this patient. This patient got relief from their lumbar issue. And then I know this patient had a bilateral procedure performed for them here on their SI joint. So this is a really great day for Aurora right here. And most importantly, a super great day for that patient, right? This patient had these problems and we got this patient back to good, right? So we're really proud of this and know that, look, very minimal amounts of hardware here in this patient's, in their spine and their SI joint. They're back to good. They're out walking around. They don't have any injections going on. They don't have any pain anymore. This patient is doing great. So with that, we were really focused on our zip portfolio, and then the SI joint market started to flesh itself out. We worked night and day on the DEXA technology along with the Apollo system to get it up and running, and of course the SILO allograft system with that headwind. We said, okay, let's stay focused on the SI joint implant that we knew was going to change the game. And this procedure is very slick. It also makes a real simple approach. Oftentimes patients get injections put into their spine right here. And these are your SI joints right here bilaterally. So in this case, a wire goes in and replicates essentially what the injection would be. We make a very small incision in the skin, about the size of a penny. So a very small incision. This instrument is reusable. We use this in surgery. It slides gently through the tissues. It goes right in and wedges itself nicely right into the SI joint. This gives confirmation for the doctor. Oftentimes the patient's wide awake. They've been localized, so they're wide awake. Then we put this radiolucent tube in here. This is actually recently awarded a patent called the Ghost tube. It's completely radiolucent. What it does is it allows the doctor to shoot x-rays and actually see all the anatomy. And this is really, really key to this procedure. Being able to see where you are, understand the landmarks, and to be able to get a nice, precise viewpoint of how you're going to perform this procedure. So no power tools, no nothing. This is just all handheld, twist, ratchet. Make sure you create a nice little channel. Then we load up this implant. It's called the Silo TFX. You load this implant, and you're going to see something kind of neat here, Tim, is that these drivers are actually made in Switzerland. They are flexible drivers. They actually flex inside of the delivery of the instrument. So the doctor fills this with a biologic. He's already prepped the space. Now we tap this implant into place, just like the bone allograft I showed you earlier. Patients, again, wide awake, tap. Now we have seated this implant perfectly in place right into the SI joint space. It's now bridging right there between the sacrum and the ilium, which is that SI joint. Now this driver here, as I mentioned, is flexible. So you're going to see how this driver actually goes right on in. This has a little screw on there, and this goes right on in, and it curves and turns the angle and goes right into the joint. No power, no machining noise. The patient's wide awake. They're getting this put into their body. And as soon as the final screw is put in, an incision with maybe 2-3 stitches is made, or sorry, an incision, but a suturing about just a couple stitches. And the patient gets a little Band-Aid over the top of their SI joint, and they walk out of the surgery center that day. So this is a really slick approach. This was a lot of credit to the engineering team, our manufacturing team, our clinical team. We had a lot of doctors that were a part of this. A full team effort from inside the building and outside the building. We did a lot of cadaver labs, did a lot of work on this to be able to create, the one of the best biomechanics, if not the best biomechanical implant in the entire world. And that's not a bold statement. That's fact.
That's awesome.
And we got this product out to market in a very short period of time. Considered we had to get the product approved, and that took the biggest climb, because we had to prove to the FDA how this product worked and why was it showing such superior biomechanics over what was existing. Well, we did that because we were committed to it, right? And what we did is we ran out and we got as many people in front of this technology that we could show, the technology and how it would work. And the training courses were packed, right? These doctors wanted to see what is this going to look like to me, and tell me more about this technology. And we have great key physicians that really jumped in and spread the good word. Our staff got up early, stayed out late. So here's one of the courses that we happened to be in Dallas. We had them all over the country, but this happens to be one of them. Classroom here is filled, right? You got a podium here. These are doctors from all around the country, Nevada, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Northern California location, Oregon, Washington, Northern California. Everyone's here to learn how this is going to interact with their patient population. They're sharing stories. They're all talking to each other about what they're looking at in their area of the world, and telling them, hey, this is really the advancement. And they all leave here with these courses where they have brochures in their hand, coding reimbursement understanding, shared stories amongst their peers and colleagues. And of course, Aurora gets to absorb all that and learn from these surgeons and physicians that are sharing this, and we can help make our implants safer, better, quicker to market. So the TFX, the example was, we got the FDA approval in October last year. And before that, I would constantly get complaints about when you can get the FDA approval, And of course, we got the FDA approval. And once we got the FDA approval, we did the cadaver lab just to test it, just to see how it was going to look on film, how it was going to look with the instrumentation. And by the time we got to the second quarter of this year, we had a complete set ready to go. And besides that earlier film I just showed you, the x-rays look amazing, right? This is a very, very small implant. It's about the size of the head of a nickel, right? It's a very small diameter implant. Again, it's only about this big in my hands, very, very small, and fixates right into you. This is your hip bone right here, and this is your sacrum right here. And this white area right here, that's your SI joint, right? It's one of the leading aches and pains that post-pregnancy women get. right? It's a very, very big topic. And what's also being discussed here in the circles is initially people thought that spine pain was in the spine. It had to be your spinal column. It had to be your spinal cord. It had to be your spinal bones. Well, what some people are saying now, and the data is being built, and the story is being built, and the investigation is continuing, is that some of your spine pain, especially your low back spine pain, might just be right here. Might going this way. Might just be in your SI joint. Now, the proof needs to be proven. This is ongoing data. We have IRB approval. We're going to go into a multi-center study. To be clear, it's FDA approved. None of our studies that Aurora is doing are for approval. They're already approved. Why is that important? Well, one is we already done the hard yards to get the product approved, but two, we're able to bill for these implants in the surgery and conduct the study. It's not a conflict because we're just paying for our system as it goes along. And these physicians and these surgeons that we're working with are excited to be part of multi-center studies. They want to prove it to themselves. They want to prove it to their patients. And of course, they want to share the data amongst their peers. So it's an exciting time, and it's really, really new, right? It's new. These are early innings in the SI joint world, the SI joint market. And as I mentioned earlier, it's considered a $2.5 billion market opportunity.
Just that one portion of what you're addressing here.
Yeah, it's literally that big. It's just that exciting of a market. So I kind of overjumped. Let me go back into the second part of it. I talked about Zip, and I talked about Silo and Silo TFX. All three of those products are very exciting for us. It's opened up doors for us tremendously. But let me share you with a little bit of DEXA technology and why this is important, why Aurora is a platform company and not just a implant company, a one-off. So this is a simulation of what blood would look like. And what we're showing here is an implant that actually is made out of metal. It's a 3D printed titanium, but it wicks. It literally wicks the bone, the body's juices up into the implant. And blood is tissue. Tissue is bone. Bone is tissue. Tissue is blood, right? It's all together. It allows all of this to come together. This is what we're trying to get. We're trying to get an implant that can actually match the closest to that patient's bone density. It's the first of its kind where it's not a custom implant. Sure, you could make a custom implant that's close to that patient's bone, but what we've done is we've made a commercialized product that matches the patient's bone within a global healthcare system and a global scoring system of these categories right here. Normal bone, the presence of osteoporosis, and in fact, osteoporosis. So the doctor can actually pick an implant that's better suited for that patient, not just any patient, because right now all the implants in the market are one size fits all. And we all know that not one size fits all. It just doesn't. So this scoring system right here was not established by Aurora. This scoring system was developed in all the communities around the world. All the countries around the world all agree that it's very simple. It's a +4 or it's a -4. It actually is color coded. So doctors look at these scoring systems and show this. We got this added to our patent. This is why these implants you see here dancing on the screen, this is why they're actually anodized. I know you won't be able to see it, but here's like one of the implants right here in my hand. It's gold. I know it's going to kind of flash in and out, but let's see the back of my hand here. Yeah, it's a gold implant, right? So, and very small, right? So this is going into your cervical neck. The doctor intraoperatively can make a pivot. They could think that the patient had pretty good bone or really good bone in one level, and then they can go right down to the next level, and that patient's bone is not that good. And this is a problem. This is a problem that was not able to be addressed, but it is addressed now. They have the option to call that audible intraoperatively or predetermine it before they even go into surgery. This is a nice option for the doctor, for the surgeon. So this is also early innings for us because it didn't exist before. So there's a lot of education in this factor. We don't need to teach doctors how to do spine surgery, especially cervical surgery, but we are going to show them what the benefit. And here's a nice x-ray that shows DEXA HD and different density level of implants that we've put into the cervical spine to prove that this implant actually can be closer to the patient's bone density, help that patient get a softer landing of that implant, get a faster incorporation, quicker healing, less pain, faster recovery, all the things that the patients want and everything the doctors are going to tell the patients that they want and are hoping they get for positive outcomes. So we've done a good job of sharing this technology. We're growing this technology. It's going to be a continued growth strategy for us. And it's not just going to be one product for Aurora. Think of DEXA technology as an entire platform. Everything we make that interfaces in between bone is going to have a DEXA lattice structure to it. It's going to have a density-driven material that's going to fit that patient's density. And we're at these congresses, these conferences with big spine doctors, big spine groups sharing this information. And we're the only ones who can make this claim of color coding, density-driven, numeric value systems that are global. If anyone else attempts to do this, they're infringing on us. So we think we've got that market cornered. And in fact, we even went so far as that we found out that the name DEXA, which I mentioned is that global name, the DEXA name was abandoned. The trademark name was abandoned. So we own the trademark now on the word DEXA, right? So it's a great pickup on us. We were able to buy this word and trademark it. And everyone I talk to, it's not to digress, it's pretty funny. They all look at me pretty funny. Like that's a tongue-in-cheek moment that we have with people. And there's like, I can't believe you own the word DEXA. I just can't believe it. And it doesn't matter if you're in any country in the world. You could be in Fiji, you could be in Moscow, you could be in Cleveland. DEXA is a global word. T-score and the color coding system is global. So today we're focused on the North America market, but who knows where the future goes. And we have this patent that we got is not meant just for not just for spine products. It's meant for, the patent is approved for dental implants, hips, knees, trauma, anything that's going to be related to bone interface. We can license off this technology to anyone else who wants to use this type of scoring mechanism, this type of color coding, this type of bone recognizing material, and obviously apply this technology to any of the technologies. And it's not limited to 3D printed metal. The patent actually covers Aurora for all additive manufacturing. So Tim, today, if we're talking about 3D printed metal, which we're talking about 3D printed titanium, in 10 years from now, we might be talking about 3D printed bone, 3D printed proteins. We might be talking about new technologies or impregnated materials that might receive something that impregnates that material to help it. If it's tied to this, which has been global for forever, 50 plus years. This is global and we own this space. We have if you can't make that claim. So it doesn't matter if it's made out of metal, fibers, polymers, organics, biologics, we own this patent.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah. This is one of the things that one of the items that I was really excited about because it just, to me, it's a visual thing, right? I mean, no screw-ups by the doctor of putting in the wrong implant, right? I mean,
that's right.
It's matched to their own density. And that to me is a no-brainer. And if that's a system that's already used, I would think adoption would be fairly easy to get, right?
Well, the adoption is coming. It's getting more feet on the street. Our leadership in the business structure of our company, we've added more feet on the street. We have more salespeople than we've ever had before. The second half of this year, which is why the numbers are starting to flush out. We're showing profitability as a company now, as I promised everyone the second half of this year. Once I get the second half of this year, I slow down the manufacturing, the R&D side of things. I start building up all this inventory. Then I'll get it introduced into the market like I'm supposed to. I have great leadership out there doing this. In the second half of this year, we're showing profitability, and I think we're just this close to showing the first $5 million quarters, and profitable month-over-month growth, quarter-over-quarter growth is right here in front of us. Without any hesitation, I say that.
So let's just talk. Let's just hit on the fact. So all of this stuff that you've shown us is qualified for insurance coverage, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing that's not approved in our portfolio. The whole portfolio is either already FDA approved or just pending FDA approved, but everything is basically there, and all insurance carriers cover it.
All insurance. I mean, and that's everyone. Right? Is getting that code or whatever it is so that it is covered. And you've got
that's right.
And that was a challenge with that was kind of iffy on which product was it? It was
so what it was that this technology, which is the allograft SI joint market, it's a very, very good market. But it basically what it was doing, it was competing with an older market that was for metal implants. A lot of it was coming through the hip this way. You know, they were pinning across the joint line to fuse the joint. And other companies came around and said, well, wait a minute, you got your sacrum and you've got your hip. Why can't I just tuck the implant right here? And that's just innovation, right? That's people thinking outside of the, you know, of the old way of thinking of doing surgery. So I really, you know, I recognize that. And what happened was, what we believe is that companies started saying, well, wait a minute, we're used to putting big screws in here. Why is this being billed out the same dollar amount? So enough static, enough wording, enough conversation was happening where they said, you know what, maybe they're right. Maybe this type procedure needs to have a different reimbursement code than the big, you know, even surgery, you know, hospital-driven products. This is an outpatient-driven product. So there's now 2 codes. One of them is 27279 for reimbursement for SI joint, and the newer one that just got added for this allograft is called 27278. So it's what the doctor, how they're going to bill for it, right? So it's a coding reimbursement. As you recognize, this is the allograft system that's behind me. It does the exact same thing in both of our technologies, which is the allograft system and the metal system. As you can tell behind me, the systems are the same,
Right.
but one is metal and one is bone, and one has one code and one has another code. The reimbursements are still being shuffled out, but what the fear was, and what happened the last year and a half was, and this is a newer space for me because they don't typically do this in the spine surgery market. They don't do this thing called clawback, where they build for it and now they've had a pivot in their thought process or their coding reimbursement, and now they're going to take the money back. So Dr. Tim, you're going to write me a check. And that's a bad place for anyone to be, is where doctors are now have done all these procedures and now they're writing checks back to the insurance carriers. It's not a good business to be in. Right. So many of the people froze up and said, I'll just wait. And it sorted itself out. Like I give credit to all the societies, the NAS, you know, the CNS, the Congress of Neurosurgeons, the Congress of the Interventional Market. They've all been really working together and separately, of course, to come up with a strategy that has the right coding reimbursement, so the patient comes out on top on this, because we're not trying to goof people over here. We're trying to give them something that they can walk out and, you know, walk in and walk out of surgery without worrying about the coding, the reimbursements, because they don't care about that stuff. They just want to be back on their feet.
Right.
But the doctors do care about it, because it's how they, you know, pay their office staff and maintain their practice. So it's all been flushed out, at least for now. We internally are not worried about it anymore. We were for the last year and a half. We were very worried about it. And the second half of last year, our sales dropped in that particular product by 60% overnight, like that.
Right.
We haven't had all of our new technology has been built out to the appropriate coding reimbursement and no denials. We've had no denials on either one of these technologies now.
All right. So the last time we met, so let's that covers your products. And that's a hell of a lot of stuff right there. Right. I mean, I think one of those is sufficient enough to get excited about, but you've got a handful of
that's right.
To be excited.
That's right.
So let's talk about what you're doing within the company. You've brought on some new talent, right?
Yep.
That has some real experience in the industry, and it's been a big asset.
So we added Matt Goldstone as our chief commercialization officer. He was he was a key part, not just a part, but the key part of a couple different acquisitions. One of them, most common, is right out of the playbook of Aurora, is with the zip device. He was with Vertiflex. That's the word I'm trying to find. He was with Vertiflex, and Vertiflex had a product called the Superion, which was an interspinous device that went into the spine that didn't fuse it. It just blockered it. It gave a kind of a lift in between the spinous processes like this. So that company was acquired by Boston Scientific for $465 million in upfront cash. And that's right out of the press release. So Matt Goldstone, he and I agreed instantly on what we wanted to accomplish. He saw the benefits of the zip device. He saw the benefits of the silo implant that was the allograft, and he knew the headwinds that were, being sorted through. And he loved the TFX. He knew that I showed him the biomechanics of how we outperformed all of the other SI joint companies that we competed against. And he was in love. He's like, that's the company I want to be at. That's the group I think we can build around. So we've added new sales leadership on the East Coast, in the Midwest, and even fortified more sales leadership in the West Coast area, like Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, West Texas, and including, in the East Coast, East Texas and Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way back to Florida, Chicago. And now we're close to bringing in some new people in the northern northwest part of the country. We're doing surgeries up there right now. We just want to get some more leadership up there. And I think we're going to sign somebody new up that way in the coming days. The offers already being accepted.
Before you did all this, who was the person running around the country doing all? There was one guy, right?
Well, we had some people out in the street, but certainly that's the success point. Like, a lot of the stuff had to be R&D. 5 years ago, we decided to make a pivot, get away from the third-party products, focus mainly on Aurora only products. And then we had the R&D initiatives, and I knew it was going to be lonely and cold days in between of just an R&D, because money goes out, and time is being spent. And everyone wants to know, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Well, like I said, October last year was one of the last 510Ks I had to get. I've got a couple more that are pending. We have some other patents that are pending, but I knew that I could make money on the TFX. I knew I had a door opening product with TFX, and I knew, because of the headwinds of the coding, allowed me to be strong in this market.
What are the margins, Trent?
Yeah, the margins are terrific. So, and I say this because this is where the market is, and there's a couple parts to it. One of it, the COG on the Zip device is less than $400 per unit, has an average selling price of over $6,500 per unit for Zip. The Silo allograft system has a COG just shy of $500 per unit, has an average selling price of over $7,500 per unit. The TFX has a COG of less than $200 per unit. Average selling price right now for us is a little over $10,000 per unit. We have some other technologies that are coming out that I'll be excited about to announce going into the beginning of the year. It's really close. It's going to have a COG of less than $100, and it's going to have an average selling price of $10,000. So these are all pre-approved. And on top of that, the cherry on top of that, and again, credit to new leadership helping us sort things out. We're proud to be on the DoD contract now with all of our technologies. And those prices, I assure you, are in line with hammers and toilet seat prices, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I got you, Trent. I got you. So margins are great. Actually, they're phenomenal. So how many shares outstanding, fully diluted, does Aurora Spine currently?
Yeah, it's high, and I know that's one of the things that people look at. It's over 70 million shares, but we took a little bit of money here towards the end of the year, and that was part of still the headwinds of what's that?
Or 70 million.
Over 70 million.
Yeah, 70 million. Trent, I have news for you. I'm not saying that your share count is high. I don't know who's telling you your share count is high, but whoever's telling you that is delusional. Half a billion shares is a high outstanding share count, right?
No, I follow you. We've kept things pretty tight, as you know. There's no fat cats in the company. There's no high salaries in the company. We pay good commissions. We reward the sales. If people sold something, they get paid. But we're in line with the market, and I think that we're going to continue to evolve that. Myself, and I know some of the other management team, we're actually buying shares, off the market. We're doing that because we believe in what we're doing, and I'm going to continue to buy shares back because I believe in it. If I don't, why would I buy it? And the team is being built out more. The little bit of money, it was $1.3 million we took in. We needed that just because there was slow paying hospital accounts, and there was back order headwinds such as coating called Tilex. It's a coating that goes onto disposable kits. They've been from 3M. They're back ordered for years now. We had to really be cautious about our dollars. And I told the street, and at the end of last year and even the beginning of this year, I said, if I do it, it'll be very low. It won't be a 10 million, it won't be a 5 million. And I did exactly that. I said, I'll get our AR up. We worked on that. That was my other part-time job, was working on AR and then maintaining the R&D and then building out the new sales team. Those were the three, things that we worked on this year. And then the thing that I promised everybody that I would get us to, and it's here, is profitability.
And that is, look, ultimately that is the key, right? But
that's right.
I'm looking at what I would consider a very small share count, right? I look at that as a very small share. Anything under 100 million shares, I think is tiny, right? Because I mean, seriously, one fund could take your entire share count in a heartbeat, right? I mean,
sure, that's right. That's right.
This is not some onerous bloated share count, right?
No, for sure not.
You have, so I'm going to ask the obvious. I mean, this is almost a silly question to ask you, but do you feel as though the company is stronger than it was 12 months ago, 24 months ago, 36 months ago?
Yes, the quick answer is yes, and again, without hesitation, because we knew that 3 years ago what we were doing would pay out. We just had to get to that point. And then a year ago, even when you get this fatigue, in your company, people are, maybe they're tired of asking the same question, and maybe I'm tired of answering the same question, but it didn't distract us. Like we didn't look at this as static. We looked at it as, you know what, just stay the course. We had our heads down. We knew what we were going to get to, and things flushed out our way. Like with the TFX implant versus the allograft, the coding sorted itself out, and we just stayed on. In fact, one of the doctors said to me, and it made me proud. He said, when I showed him the TFX, he said, "Well, you just did that to meet the code requirement." And I said, "No, actually, I started working on this 5 years ago." He's like, "Really?" I mean, that was different. He's like, "So you guys were thinking this way 5 years ago?" I said, "We were thinking this way 5 years ago." He's like, "I think you're the company I might want to work with. If you're seeing that far ahead downstream that well, kudos to you, because I think people are going to be knee jerking." We weren't knee jerking. We were executing. We were being precise. And I'm not trying to pat ourselves in the back too hard. There certainly was some ups and downs. And I know the cash burn is always that sore subject, but we were squeezing the penny. Like I said, there's no fat cats in the company, but we're going to hit new milestones for the company. For all the shareholders that are still with us today who stuck by it, we didn't make any board changes. We didn't make any changes other than more sales leadership, and we stayed the course with the products. And every single product I said I was going to get FDA approved, I did.
So I want to emphasize this point. So everyone knows that follows me, you can have a great product, great service. It always comes down to leadership for me. You have to have great leadership. So I want to make sure that everybody understands. I've been following this story now for going on 3 years. I am committed to watching it. Do you execute? And the reality is this: everything that you have said you were going to do, you have done. Has it been within the time frame that everyone expects? Listen, that's life. Things happen. Everything always takes longer than you think it's going to take. That's just the reality of it. Investing in companies that have incredible, revolutionary products, it always takes longer than you think it should take for the market to recognize that, right? And to reward.
That's right.
So you have absolutely done everything you said you're going to do. You've also been very transparent throughout the process. It's not like you were hiding in a closet somewhere, not sharing what was happening. You were very transparent about what the process was. Was it frustrating? Yeah. Was it in your control? No. So you just pretty much have to wait it out, right?
That's right. That's right.
And that's what happened. And everything has come to fruition. So now, the reason I asked if you think that the company is stronger than it was 36 months ago, if anybody's watching this and seeing all of these products that you've just shown, how could you not be stronger? Just what you have to offer the marketplace, right? And product.
That's right.
Made you stronger. but you've
That's
also
right.
now built your team with some seasoned professionals. I mean, there's no question that you're stronger, right?
That's right. And why would somebody, being able to strengthen your team means that you had to have something that caught their eye, right? They could be in a lot of places. If they're good at what they do, they can work for anyone. I had to create things that was going to, one, meet the market needs, two, be appealing to somebody who wants to sell a good story and wants to make sure they have a high quality device, high quality product, because it's their reputation too, right? And we're in the medical market. We're not in the used car market. We're in the highest end of all services. It's not a home internet system. It's none of that stuff. It's something that's going into your mom, your brother, your sister, to your friends. And this is an implant. This is real world stuff.
I think
we have
in the United States alone, or maybe it's, I can't remember exactly where, but 260 million people suffer from chronic back pain.
That's right.
Correct? 260.
That's right. That's right. It's a very large number, and it's in every country in the world. Doesn't matter where you're from, right? Doesn't matter if you're tall or short or it doesn't matter.
That's a big number, and you are coming out with solutions to give people a better quality of life, right?
That's right. Yeah, and quality of life for a company is to be profitable, and that's what I promised I'd get us to this year. So anyone who heard you can even look at old press releases. You can say, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I did what I said we were going to do, and we're absolutely here today.
And that's worth its weight in gold in my view, right? Because if you can trust the person that's leading the charge that has the vision. I mean, you had the vision, and you're here now. I would say you're here, right?
We're here. Yeah,
I would say
we're not looking at anything behind us anymore. We meet every day. In fact, we had a good discussion earlier today. We're like, okay, well, we all that's behind us. These things who are distractions is behind us, and we couldn't be prouder of things like these X-rays I showed you. The devices are out there, including winning, best new technology award of the year. We were awarded the best technology. So we were proud all this year. People were coming to our booth last year and this year because we made really good products. We made really good things, and now we're going to go sell those things and get it out to the market.
Trent, do you see a need? Because right now, in this market environment, the biggest fear or concern is that, small cap, micro cap company is going to need to raise more capital. And right now, because of the interest rate and everything else that's happening in the economy, people are fearful of that because the deals, or I wouldn't even call them deals, the death sentence that they're handing out with these capital raises is horrendous. I mean, the terms are absolutely horrendous. Some companies are in a position where they have to raise capital, so they're going to take these deals. In my view, they might as well just turn out the lights, right? Because it's going to happen that way anyway, because they're never coming. But you don't foresee any reason to have to do a big capital raise.
I don't with firm conviction on that. And why I say that, I've always said over the years, I go, well, we'll have to see how this flushes out. It was mainly because we were still in the R&D phase. Like, I'm not in this big R&D phase anymore. R&D phases are very expensive. Ask anyone. If you're trying to build something and you're working with the FDA and you're working with biomechanical labs and you're filing and all these things that go along with the process, it's time consuming, and time costs you money. And I'm at the end of that. I'm not saying we're done, but I'm not top heavy R&D phase right now. I'm out of that. And that money was spent and raised. The only thing I picked up just recently was because I think that people who are looking at us want to make sure that we had enough money in the bank to be able to execute our plan. So, like I mentioned in the last IR call I did, I said, showing those signs of profitability, and now now we're not forecasting, we're not giving any guidance right now, but we're above a $17 million run rate. We're heading to a $20 million run rate. And those are real numbers, and they're now starting to stack up. So I can say it's not on a 1 month projection. It's not a 2-month projection. It's now talking about a 3 and a 4-month projection. And then if I keep going for the rest of this year, which I think that we're heading the right track, we're going to close out strong this quarter. I thought we did real well for the things that we were up against still, with the coding being flushed out from last year. The first half of last year was still a hangover from the Q3 and Q4 of last year, where Q1 last year, we looked great until the headwinds of the coding, which that all took a year to flush out. Now the second half this year, it's all behind us, and now it's just pushing ahead.
Right. Focus on sales, focus on execution, focus on making people aware of your products, right?
That's right. That's right.
There is a whole, the way I look at it now, this is when it gets fun. I mean, this is really when it gets fun, right? Because
this is when it gets fun. Yep. And because we have that cool product, we have that technology that other people wish they had, and we have it.
Right. So now I want to talk about my X-ray.
All right. Yeah, I want to see it. Let's see the X-ray.
The chart, right?
That's right.
If you know, my thing is, I was a fundamental guy way before I was ever a technical guy. I didn't even believe in technicals. I thought it was like voodoo. What am I going to look at a chart? What's that going to tell me about where a company's going, right? Now, after 15 years ago, I took a course in technicals. It's the first thing I look at is where is the chart? What is it showing me? And what if I look at your chart, it's very easy to identify, and it will be easy for anybody to identify that since 2021, your chart was in a downward trend. Momentum was to the downside. When it's a long-term trend, it takes something of greater force to break that momentum and move in the other direction. So since 2021, in this downtrend, and recently you've done what? You broke through that downtrend, which is this white line right here, right? And you held. Right. Now, what you did was you also reclaimed the 200-day moving average, which is a very good thing for the technical guys, right? The guys that just trade off technicals. You also had an increase in volume. So volume precedes price movement, typically. So now I'm seeing you just had a nice little volume bar right here. So your volume is starting to pick up. You have broken the long-term downward trend. You are riding the 200-day moving average, and you just had a really significant thing happen, which was the 50-day moving average crossed above the 200-day, which is called the golden cross. That is a very bullish formation, right? So if we look at the chart and say, okay, if we continue to stay here in the bullish chart, or the golden cross winds up being true, where is the next level of resistance? You're probably going to have some resistance around 35 cents. And I only say that because you've had a lot of congestion in that area, a lot of touch points at 35 cents over the last couple of years, right? So that it acted as support, it acted as resistance. So I could see it acting as resistance once again. But then once you break through that, I think that becomes your floor. And I mean, let's face facts here. We're talking about, what's the market cap right now? Total market cap, Trent?
Yeah, the market cap was pretty low. I'll double check it just to see. I had it right here. Sorry, I had it up earlier and then my phone shut down.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. So US side, market cap of 22.6.
No.
And Canadian side, we are at 29.5.
So the company that was acquired that had the one product was,
yeah, that was a privately held company, Vertiflex, that was acquired from Boston Scientific, which is a public company, for $465 million in upfront cash.
And that was one product, right?
One device. Yep.
One device. Okay. So look, I don't suggest you buy a company in the hopes that they're going to get bought out, right? But is that possibility, or that I would suggest that as your products begin to gain more and more traction, that possibility becomes very real. And maybe not just from one, but there could be a couple of companies that are eyeballing you right now?
Yeah,
Right?
well, you and I are both very, very proud of being home of the Stanley Cup champions, the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And one of our philosophies internally, and you got to remember, I have 3 board members that are Canadian, so I'm talking their language, is we have a lot of shots on goal with our product and our products, excuse me. And it's a philosophy thing. Some people, there's a lot of benefit for sure to have one technology, one product, and charge hard on that one technology. But a lot of things happened over the last 5 years, right? And I think that our concept of having more technologies to be able to get in front of more customers and also have a way of collaborating on these technologies gives us more shots on goal, which I think creates more value for us. So I don't think that we're the $465 million company. I think we're the $1 billion acquisition, right? I think we're that bigger target point because we have more value, and then we're crossover hit. We are ortho, neuro, and interventional.
Yeah. So if you look at what's happening with your stock, granted, it's thinly traded, right?
Yep.
But if you look at what's happening with the stock in an overall market where most of the microcap companies just look horrendous, right? You're showing strength. And with all due respect, you should be showing strength. You should actually be, I feel, much higher than where you are today.
I
don't
agree.
think you've been rewarded at all for anything that you have accomplished. So with that being said, I'm not telling anybody to buy the stock. That's not what I do. What I do is I do the homework, and I present what I feel is good opportunities. I don't typically interview someone unless I think they're going to make their shareholders money. Can I tell you exactly when? No. My crystal ball is broken, but I've been doing this long enough to know when you have a really good company and an incredible opportunity that others are not seeing. And I think this falls into that category. I have been a shareholder for the last 3 years. I have never called you once to ask you what the hell is going on, right?
Because you stay true. Yep.
If the bottom line is, I know what's going on because you're very transparent. I don't have to call you. I see you. You're very transparent. You tell what's happening, and it's like, okay, investing is a patience game. It is not I'm not looking for a 20-cent scalp. I'm looking for a 100-bagger.
That's
and
right.
I think Aurora Spine could be a 100-bagger. Absolutely. I absolutely think it could be a 100-bagger. But
Thank you.
am I guaranteeing it can be a 100-bagger? No, I'm not guaranteeing anything. But I am saying that for everything that you've accomplished, what the chart is telling me, what you have in the marketplace now and the actions that you're taking should mean profitability and then some, right? That's right. Continue to grow. I mean, so all I'm suggesting to people is ASAPF. Put it on your watch list. If you don't want to dip your toe at this level, which I think this level is ridiculously stupid. This is at like stupidity level for what you have, right? So I say dip your toe at the very least, dip your toe. And that way it stays in front of your face and you pay attention to what's happening. The one thing I have to ask you, Trent, I was on your site and I was looking for an email alert service and I couldn't find it. Maybe sometimes it's hidden really well, but do you have an email alert service where when you drop a press release, it automatically sends out to the shareholders?
Yeah, we do have a trigger for that. I'll come back to you on that because I know that it should be built into our in the website itself. And then of course we also have social media triggers too that also go out on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
I think I see, now that I think about it, I see most of your stuff on LinkedIn, right? I see a lot of your stuff on LinkedIn. But as far as an email alert service, I couldn't find it where I could go to the site and just sign up and have every press release that comes out delivered right to my email.
I'll double check it, but yeah, I know we've had the triggers in place before. Maybe it's just maybe it's not activating right now, but I'll find out.
Okay, but other than that, Trent, I want to tell you, fantastic job, man. I mean, really, kudos to you. You've done an amazing job. You've been a man of your word, and I think it's time for you to get rewarded. So, what do you feel as though would be the next catalyst for Aurora? What do you think the next catalyst would be?
Well, I think we got to roll out and show what we were able to get through on Q3 and Q4, and then have a good solid year based on that. I think we should absolutely kick the year off, get right back on the Alpha Whoop program, and talk about the kickoff of the year. We've recently gathered 22 key surgeons and physicians from around the country. We had this meeting out in Austin, Texas, and I tell you, it was absolutely fantastic. And I think one of the things we could do in the future is you're going to start to see more of the study information coming out. These are going to be the triggers for people to see, like, the product is being used, the profitability is being shown, the sales revenues are growing up, and now you're going to start to see more of the data being released. And that's a good catalyst for the company. It's going to show that the technology is being adopted, right? And that's key.
It's superior and being adopted, right?
That's right. That's right. It's superior and it's being adopted, and the data is supporting that. Just like you're talking about your analytics here, the algorithm of what we're doing is going to show the other physicians, the other surgeons in the market, and say they want to be part of that algorithm, which is new technologies from Aurora.
Fantastic. Trent, if anybody wants to get in touch with you that's a serious-minded investor, it has their own questions, maybe I didn't cover everything that they're looking for, they can reach out, right?
You can absolutely reach out. Our website is auroraspine.com. You can find my contact information. My email address is tnorthcutt@auroraspine.us. And I've even scheduled appointments. People have called into the office and I've made appointments with them, or reach out to Tim. And if there's anyone who's interested in learning more about Aurora, or know when we're going to have our next conference call, an IR call, I'm happy to get you on that in that conference call so you can ask more questions. And as Tim pointed out, and I thank him for that, is I am very transparent about this. Life is a team sport, and I know that we're going to be able to get after it with these technologies. And this is Aurora's year in 2024.
That's fantastic. Trent, thank you so much for coming and taking the time to share your story. And hopefully this will net you some more followers. So I think
we're gonna do it again, Tim. We're gonna do it again right at the beginning of the year.
Okay, sounds good, Trent. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to shut this off. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Trading. Today we had Trent Northcutt from Aurora Spine Inc. Ticker symbol ASAPF. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, why not give us a follow? Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.